Hello everybody, welcome to Review a Day episode number 22 for Wednesday, September the 3rd, 2008. Hello everybody, welcome to Review a Day, the daily video blog where I review a movie 7 days a week. My name is Leland Brungar and thank you very much for joining me. I was having a lot of trouble trying to figure out what movie to review today. All of my Netflix were in the mail and I usually rely on that to kind of figure out what movie I'm going to review that day. So I went to my stack of unwatched DVDs and I pulled out the 1986 version of The Fly, directed by David Cronenberg, who you probably know. He directed A History of Violence, and he also directed the classic movie Scanners, which is fantastic. This movie stars Jeff Goldblum, Gina Davis, and John Getz. The story, you're probably familiar with it. Jeff Goldblum plays a eccentric scientist named Seth Brundle, who's working on a teleportation device. He meets up with a beautiful reporter whom he falls in love with, and she's starting to write a story about him. He wants to share the entire process with her. He wants her to write a book and really document him creating this new teleportation device where you can be in one pod and then appear in the other one. However, Gina Davis, the love interest, the reporter, her publisher is also her ex-boyfriend, and he wants to use the story for his own personal gain to use in his magazine. Seth Brundle, the scientist, gets upset one night and he decides that he's going to transport himself. He does this. Unfortunately, a fly flies in with him and he's genetically crossed with a fly, and over the course of the film, he becomes more and more like a fly. This movie really reminded me how much I love Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis. I love Jeff Goldblum even when he is in bad movies. He's one of those guys that I've always liked to watch. He's really interesting, and he was such a great pick to have as a eccentric scientist because he really seems like that kind of guy. He's fantastic. This movie also reminded me of Gina Davis, who I haven't seen in quite a while. I love Gina Davis. I think one of the biggest reasons I love her is because when I think of her, I always think of A League of Their Own, which is one of my favorite movies from when I was younger. Also, her character in this film gets to say the line, "Be afraid, be very afraid," which is actually where that line originates from. I did not know that, and when she spoke it, I was like, well, is that from the original? And I went online, and apparently this is the first appearance of that line. I had no idea. This film is definitely David Cronenberg. It has the David Cronenberg violence and gore, which I absolutely love. The movie uses a lot of practical effects like prosthetics, which is something you don't get a lot of in films anymore, and I really miss that. James Gunn uses them to great effect in Slither, which if you haven't seen, I highly recommend. It's great. This film actually won an Academy Award for its makeup effects, and I think they're kind of dated now in the final scene where Jeff Goldblum really becomes a giant fly. It is really dated, but the effects serve a point and they make it. They're very effective. They're kind of corny, but it's fun anyways. It's also very gross. There's a lot of pretty gross scenes in this movie. He has vomit, which melts people's body parts. He melts a guy's hand and then his ankle. It's pretty grisly. And I think if a movie was made like this today, it would just be CG effects all over the place. And I think one of the big charms of this film is that it isn't CG, that it's all practical effects. At the end of the day, this movie really is about the characters, and I think that's one of the reasons it still plays so well all of these years later. It doesn't get really caught up in trying to wow us with special effects. It's not a movie about how scary this guy looks. This film, it has more in common with things like Metamorphosis by Kafka, or The Elephant Man or King Kong kind of stories about, or Frankenstein, stories about people who are misunderstood and grotesque, but someone's still inside of that monster. I really like that about this film. Also, this film is an hour and 31 minutes. Literally, when the climax of this movie ends, the film is over. There isn't even a 1 week later tag or anything like that. It's incredibly well paced, and Jeff Goldblum's performance is great. Gina Davis is great. I highly recommend this film. I give it a 4 out of 5. I actually liked this movie a lot more than Scanners, which I really wasn't expecting to... I didn't expect to like it that much. I really wasn't ready to like this movie that much, but I'm really glad I watched it. If you guys are enjoying these reviews, make sure and subscribe. If you have any recommendations, leave them in the comment box. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.